There have been several reports in different places of what appears to be disruption caused by striking members of Nehawu outside hospitals and clinics. The KwaZulu-Natal Health Department says in some cases hospitals and facilities were blocked by striking staff, and others, workers were forced to leave their workstations. Zola Saphetha is the General Secretary at Nehawu. Zola, good afternoon to you. Are your members blocking access to hospitals?
Good afternoon, Stephen and the viewers. We received this report, and it is a pity and an unfortunate that is reported by people whom were invited on the 1st March to come to the table to plan for any eventuality as a result of the strike, particularly as it relates to hospitals. And unfortunately, the reply was extremely ridiculous and also insultive to us, because we knew and everyone else knew that we have followed everything else. Unfortunately, this strike was unavoidable. That's why we said that can we meet institution by institution, plan in terms of how the hospital in particular, essential services and the service is going to run coherently with the strike. But unfortunately, we're told that we must go to the essential commission, because the department had claimed that is not their responsibility, particularly the head of the department in KwaZulu-Natal.
Zola, let me ask the question again. Are your members blocking access to hospitals and health facilities?
Our members are on a full-blown strike, which is a protected and illegal strike. That's what I know.
Are they blocking access to hospitals?
Why would they block access to hospital when we had invited the department to take care of our people? They are on strike.
That's not the question. Yes or no? Place. I mean, it's a simple question. Either they are or they aren't.
It can't be just yes and no, because I'm to receive the report from the province itself at 6 o'clock today, and I'm at KZN now to meet with them, and then decide I'll be on that position once I get the report. But to say yes and no on something that has been reported by one side that I don't even trust, that they've demonstrated in any way that they have an element of demobilizing us, I can't just say yes or no. I have to have a balanced report, particularly from a person whom I trust, which is the Provincial Secretary of Nehawu.
Okay, let me put it to you like this. Are there any circumstances under which it could be morally correct for any group of people to block access to a hospital for patients?
Inherently, the strike is inherently disruptive, because people have withdrawn their labor, and that has a direct impact to the service because people are not working. So we now has no strike that is meant to block people. There's a strike to withdraw its members' labor,
sure,
so that there is no functioning of the hospital.
Zola, I mean, I understand your point of view. I get it. I understand your frustration. You're being paid below inflation. You represent nurses, for goodness sake. You saved us during the pandemic. I understand that too. I will give you a chance to put that to our audience. But the fact is, it must be immoral to block the entrance to a health facility. It must be. Right?
As you know, we have a track record as Nehawu of being moral, and COVID has is a record to test, to put that to test, and that's why also we took a responsibility a week before the strike to reason with the management so that we allow people to access service. So we are always, Nehawu as a union and its members are always in moral, because these are our people, these are our brothers and sisters.
You're always moral, you mean? So you're always moral.
That's
So
you know that, Stephen, yourself.
Okay. So
you know that yourself. You are a testimony to that yourself.
Not sure about that, but okay. Let me put it to you like this: if there can be no way that it can be moral to block access to a health facility, I presume that you, Zola Saphetha, would have no problem in condemning anyone or condemning the act of blocking a health facility.
Certainly, the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union will not have a problem to condemn that, because we're on strike, we're not fighting with communities, we're purely withdrawing our labor, and it by practically means that we're not working. So that's what we are doing. So any conduct that is untoward to that, we will condemn it as and when we receive a report and the effects on our table. As I'm saying, if those reports are the reason why I'm coming to KZN, because we've had those reports, I can't preempt what will be the outcome of the investigation that I'm here for. So once I get that, we will then deal with those and condemn such behavior.
Okay.
But it's incorrect of the department to run to media and report on something that they have not been even themselves been there, having been asked to come to the table to plan for such or to avoid that from happening. But what can you do? That's what they are doing. But we are responsible. I left Joburg this morning to come here and investigate that. So as an investigator, I can't be preempting. That's why I can't say anything until I sit with the report that will be tabled in front of me and make a determination. And once we found such, we will not hesitate to condemn any wrong conduct that is not within the frame or the framework of our strike.
Okay. And just to clarify, because you represent nurses, you represent other workers at a hospital. A hospital has lots of nurses, has many other workers as well, people in the laundry, porters, all sorts of people. Nurses are seen as essential workers. Are your members who are nurses still working at the moment, even if they may want to join the strike?
What I know, Stephen, is that people are working and people are attended, but those, because we're at court actually as we speak with you, and one of the sticky issues is the issue of the essential service workers. As you know, that there is no service level agreement has been reached, as it was made publicly by the Minister of Health, then Dr. Aaron, who said that there will never be such a thing. That's why even ourselves, we anticipated the impact that will be made because people who have withdrawn their labor, particularly in sensitive places like hospital. We had asked a meeting with the department in various provinces. We had received the responses from Western Cape, here in KZN, which demonstrated a high level of arrogance. And we knew that once they do that, they will run and create an impression and make themselves as the victims instead of taking a responsibility. Because here we are mitigating between the constitutional right and the right for people to have service. So that there will be a clash. That's why we wanted to have a meeting, so that people who are looking for service, they are not the ones who are suffering, because our battle really is directed to the employer, not to communities.
All right.
But unfortunately, when such plans and measures are not put in place, we are bound to be confronted by many challenges.
Zola, I promised I would give you a chance to talk about the increase. It is below inflation. We know inflation is very high. What kind of life will there be for your members if they're forced to accept this increase, if they don't get the higher increase that they want?
Come again, Stephen?
Zola, I promised that I would give you a chance to talk about wages, yes. Making the point that there's very high inflation at the moment. The increase that government would give your members is below inflation. How difficult is it going to be for your members if they don't get a bigger increase? I'm giving you a chance to make your case, Zola.
Yes, Stephen. No, look, Stephen, you remember that we have lost our buying power as far back as 2020, when the employer reneged from the implementation, the last leg of that agreement. And 2021, we were faced with that. Instead of being given a salary increase, we were given 1,000 gratuity. 2022 is still the case, and we were left by the employer at the bargaining council in 2022. When we were demanding 10%, they gave us 3%, and they forced us unilaterally to take that. And now they want us to venture into 2023. We say that we can't move to 2023 without concluding on 2022. So we're on 2022 as Nehawu to say, can you come back and give us what you owe us, which is 7%, before we entertain 2023. So this strike is about that. And we had received this certificate in November last year. And we have been engaging with them and also alarming that if they are not coming back to us, then this is what is going to happen. And as a result of that, now we are exercising our right. That's the situation now.
Zola Saphetha, thank you. General Secretary of the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, Nehawu. I do appreciate the time.